I'm not proud of it, but that was something that happened. If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women, what President Clinton did. He was impeached. He lost his license to practice law. He had to pay an $850,000 fine to one of the women, Paula Jones, who's also here tonight. And I will tell you that when Hillary brings up a point like that, and she talks about words that I said 11 years ago, I think it's disgraceful, and I think she should be ashamed of herself, if you want to know the truth.
Donald Trump responding to the story that has taken the dominant media culture by storm, an 11-year-old supposedly off-the-record interview on raw tape for Access Hollywood as he was talking about women with Billy Bush. But as you saw right there, Mr. Trump turned that around and held Hillary accountable for, in a sense, trying to defend her spouse during the time of alleged and basically admitted sexual misconduct in the White House during the first Clinton administration. This is our continuing coverage on Newsmax TV of tonight's debate. We invite you in for your comments at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. And we are pleased to get the reaction from Michael Reagan, who is joining us from Southern California via Skype. Michael, of course, political commentator, the son of President Ronald Reagan. And Michael, we appreciate your time, your take on tonight's debate thus far.
Yeah, I don't think Donald Trump did a whole lot of good to go outside of his base, which he has to attract those people to be elected on November 8th. I thought the day started off as a train wreck. Him having a press conference on Facebook with Broderick and the rest of them, all the women from the days of Bill Clinton. That isn't an issue in this campaign at this point in time. And to make it an issue I thought was really going off base and off track. I was embarrassed by it. I said in a tweet that my father would be embarrassed by it, and he would probably tell people to vote the down ballot to save our country and, in fact, save the Republican Party.
Another perspective to be offered now via Skype, perhaps, by biographer and political historian Craig Shirley. Craig is the author of his upcoming fourth book on Ronald Reagan, scheduled to be released next year, Reagan Rising, The Decisive Years, 1976 through 1980. He Skypes in from Northern Virginia. And Craig, I don't know if you heard Michael Reagan's assessment of Mr. Trump tonight, but I'd be interested in getting your response.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. I think that the press conference with the victims of Bill Clinton's predatory sexual advances was a mistake. It diverted attention from what was needed to be talked about. I will say, however, he started out badly. Of course, everybody wanted to talk about the tape from 11 years ago. But he changed the subject pretty quickly and got her on the defensive. And she's been on the defensive pretty much the entire debate ever since, about emails and about Obamacare and about energy and other things like that. So, I won't say that he's going to win this thing, but he's made it better, made out better than I thought he would.
Well, let's see what some of the viewers are saying as they're calling in at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Got another Virginian. Craig, you're in Northern Virginia. Margaret is out in Virginia Beach. Margaret, your take on tonight's debate.
I thought it was very embarrassing to watch. I actually had to turn it off because, the debate's supposed to be what they're supposed to be doing for American citizens so we can make a good choice in our next president. And so I'm to the point where I want to vote independent, and I would like to know who's going to be starting to include our independents in these debates so that we can make more informed choices.
Margaret, as I understand it, there was a threshold, I believe, of what, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, 10% support for one of the independents or the Libertarian team, former New Mexico
15%.
Governor.
Yeah, it's been 15% since 1980 when John Anderson was running as a third-party candidate. That was set long ago by the League of Women Voters, which is why Johnson and the others couldn't participate tonight. But it is a good question, there needs to be other voices. I will say is that as far as the embarrassment, I understand what the caller is saying. However, the participants, Hillary Clinton Donald Trump are somewhat victimized by the questions of the two moderators, who I think have performed, pretty abysmally as far as directing attention so much to the puerile and the narrow-minded, rather than talking more broadly cast about the American people, what these candidates are going to do for the American people if they are elected president.
Yeah, I don't think, if I could jump in,
Sure.
I don't think anybody changed their minds tonight. I think the people who are in the Trump camp are in the Trump camp. The people who are in the Hillary camp are in the Hillary camp. It's the independents going to make that decision. And if they feel embarrassed, as many of us do, by the way Trump is reacting to the tape that came out 48 hours ago, then they're going to end up in the Hillary camp on November 8th, and Trump is going to become a chump instead of President Trump.
Let me ask you, Michael, are you, earlier you seemed to be a reluctant Trump supporter. It seemed that Margaret wanted to opt for an independent candidate. Are you considering Gary Johnson? Or have you returned to the ranks of the never Trumpers now?
No, I'm really to the ranks of voting the down ballot to protect our country and the Republican Party. I think the Republican Party is in dire straits at this point in time. And somehow the Republican Party needs to be saved from itself, if you will. And it's going to be voting the down ballot, making sure we control the House, control the Senate, going into a Hillary Clinton presidency to be able to stop her where she needs to be stopped. Both are flawed, both are terrible, but my candidate is absolutely embarrassing.
All right, let's go back to the phones now at 1-877-Newsmax, 1-877-639-7629, to Bel Air, Maryland, where David is watching the proceedings and telephoning us here at Newsmax TV. Hi, David.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing fine.
Good.
I think Trump really really looked good tonight. I think he got off those tapes very quickly, changed the subject around, and put her on the defense for pretty much the rest of the debate.
It is a challenge when you start with something, and Craig Shirley, you mentioned earlier the questioning. Our own Miranda Kahn made mention of the fact the way that Anderson Cooper decided to frame his question about the tapes, accusing Trump of advocating sexual assault, seemed to me to be a stretch, and perhaps suitable for Hillary to include in her next attack ad. How will the moderators come off tonight, and has Trump succeeded in putting Hillary on the defensive?
I don't know. It depends on what the spin is after this and in the succeeding days. I think that there's going to be a lot of discussion, though, about the poor behavior of Martha Raddatz and Anderson. Martha Raddatz was literally arguing with Donald Trump instead of letting him, answer the question. These media people, some of these media people have frankly gotten out of control. They think the debate is about them. Instead of the candidates. I remember, Michael remembers, he was there in the audience in 1980 when Reagan debated Carter, and Howard K. Smith was the moderator. The questioners never got in arguments with President Carter or Governor Reagan. They simply asked the questions and let them answer, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Let's go to another caller who has some statements for us at 1-877-Newsmax from Charleston, West Virginia. We welcome Rick. Hi, Rick.
Good evening. I just wanted to say that I was absolutely amazed that Donald Trump directed a question to Hillary Clinton, and Martha Raddatz answered the question in her behalf, which just shows the total bias that the news media has against Donald Trump and in Hillary's favor.
Let's turn to Michael Reagan on this, Rick, and I appreciate that. The outrage of the media, it's nothing new, but Michael, do you recollect that 1980 debate of which Craig speaks, where Howard K. Smith just allowed the candidates to offer their answers without joining as a third participant?
Yeah, I was thinking about what to say when Craig said that, and all I could think about was, I knew Howard K. Smith. Howard K. Smith was a friend of mine, and there is nobody alive today behind a microphone that is Howard K. Smith. And that's just a fact. They don't exist any longer because they've all become opinion people instead of news people. On both sides of the equation, both the left and the right, it doesn't matter. There's no Howard K. Smiths around today like there was back in 1980.
And of course, Craig Shirley and Michael Reagan will remember, and those of you who enjoy the history of politics, remember that it was Howard K. Smith who moderated the first presidential debate way back in 1960 from Chicago, the studios of WBBM, CBS Chicago. Richard Nixon, the Republican nominee, John F. Kennedy, the Democratic nominee. Craig, I just want to make sure I got this straight. I understand people who watch TV thought Jack Kennedy won, but radio listeners thought Nixon had a stronger voice. 20 seconds and the last word on that piece of history.
No, actually, JD, that is an urban myth. There's
Oh, it is?
There's never been any polling or any study that showed that Nixon won via radio. There was never any research done, but people did think that Kennedy won the first debate narrowly, and then they thought the succeeding 3 debates were pretty much of a wash. But it was the first debate that really counted for the most.
Gotcha. And I don't mean to cut you off, but our time is getting away. Who won the debate? Go to newsmaxpolls.com. Our thanks to Mike and Craig. More after this.